In this video, I will discuss recording macros. The main idea underlying macros is that whenever you are doing your work in Microsoft Excel, your work can comprise multiple steps, and instead of repeating all those steps every time you are doing your work, we want to automate it, which means by clicking one button, we want to execute all those processes. Here is an example. This is the data that I'll be working with. This data comprises three columns: salesman name, last year sales, and current year sales. And our objective is to create a macro, and that macro will automate four steps. The first step will be to separate names into first and last names. So here we have names. We want to separate these names so that there will be one column for first name and other column for second name. Then the next step is to calculate percentage change in sales. So we have two columns, last year sales and current year sales, and we want to calculate how much percentage change happened from last year and current year. And once we have this percentage change in this column, then in the third step we want to apply conditional formatting, whereby percentage change values that are greater than 5% appear in green color, less than 5% appear in pink color, and equal to 5% appear in light yellow color. And in the fourth step, we want to calculate descriptive statistics for the sales of last year and current year. Whenever we want to do all these things, there will be four steps. But the purpose of recording macros is we want to execute all those four steps by just clicking one button. To record a macro, this Microsoft Excel file need to be saved as macro enabled template. So I will click on File, Save As, and then this is Excel macro enabled template XLTM. Then after that, click on Developer, and here in Developer we have this record macros. I will start by clicking on record macro. I want to give it a name, and then you can also assign it a shortcut. So for example, I assign it Option Command Z. To separate names into first and last names, which is our first step, I would insert here a new column. That new column would contain last name, and I would name it last name. Then select this column and click on data and then text to column, delimited. Next, make sure this option is selected, space, and as you can see here, it shows us a preview whereby first name appears in one column and last name appears in next column, and then click on next, and then it asks where do you want results to appear. So I want my results to appear here in this column. The first names will appear in this column and last names will appear here. So A2, which means this column, and then click on finish. Names have been split, so first name appears here and second name appears here. The next step is to calculate the percentage change in sales, and for that I will add a new column that will be percentage change. So the formula for percentage change will be current year sales minus last year sale divided by last year sale. So current year sale is this one minus last year sales is this one, close parenthesis, and then divided by last year sales. Hit enter. That gives us percentage change. I will convert it into percentage. Click on percent. Now copy this formula to other cells. So that was our second step, calculate the percentage change in sales. The third step is that apply conditional formatting. And for conditional formatting, I will select this one and click here on conditional formatting, highlight cell rules greater than 5%. So all those values that are greater than 5% I want in green color. And all those values that are less than 5% I want in pink color. All those values that are equal to 5% I want them to appear as light yellow color. So far we have completed four steps. The first step was to separate names into first and last name. We did it. Second step was to calculate percentage change. We did it. Third step was to apply conditional formatting. We also did it. And the fourth step is to calculate descriptive stats for last and current year sales. I will add here a new column for descriptive statistics. I want to calculate mean, median, standard deviation, maximum, minimum, range, skewness, and kurtosis. To calculate mean of last year, I'll be using this formula is equal to average, and select this column, Control Shift and down key, parenthesis close, median, is equal to, select this whole column, Control Shift down key, standard deviation is STDEV, and then again select this whole column, Control Shift down key for maximum, for minimum. This is the formula. Range is the difference of maximum minus minimum. Skewness is kurtosis, and then I can copy this to the next cell. This was descriptive statistics for last year. This is for current year. I will format it a little bit. We have performed all the steps. That was our objective. Our objective was to separate first and last name, calculate percentage change, apply conditional formatting, ensure percentage change values appear in percentage. Yes, they are in percentage, and calculate descriptive statistics for the last and current year. We have done all these steps. Now it's time to stop recording. Click on developer and then click on stop recording. Our macro has been recorded. Now this is our data. As you can see, in this data we have one column for first and last name combined and last year sales and current year sales. There are 4 steps. The first step we want, that's our objective, is to separate first and last name. Second step would be to calculate percentage change. Third step would be to apply conditional formatting, and fourth step will be to calculate descriptive statistics. But instead of repeating all those 4 steps, we want to execute all those 4 steps by clicking on one button. So for that purpose, I will click on macros, and here we have our macro. So I can click on this one. When I will click on run, you will see a magic will happen. Right now our data is in 3 columns, first and last names together, last year sale and current year sales. But when I run it, I am expecting that these names will be separated, first and last name will be separated, a new column will be added. I am also expecting that a new column will appear here that will represent percentage change. I'm also expecting conditional formatting will be applied, and I'm also expecting descriptive statistics for last year and current year sale will be provided. I select this macro and click on run. So as you can see, just by one click it has done all those 4 things: separating names, calculating percentage change, applying conditional formatting, and then calculating descriptive statistics for last year and current year. And all these 4 steps have been executed by just clicking one button. That is the advantage of macros. So whenever we want to run our macro, we have a number of options. First option is that click on macros, and then this is the name of our macro, and then click on run. And the second step is that, if you can recall, we also assigned it a keyboard shortcut, and the keyboard shortcut that I had assigned earlier, it was Command Option Z, although you can also choose a different one. So I'm gonna hit those 3 keys. The same macro is run, which means all those 4 processes have been executed. Now there is one more thing that we can do, which is we can also insert here a run button. So this is a button in developer, and here's a button. Click on this button. So it says that you want to assign that button to which macro. The name of our macro is recording, so I want to link that button to recording. So I click on recording, select it, okay, and here that button appears. And then I type here run. If I click this button, it will do exactly the same thing. When I click it, executes all those 4 processes. The last part of this video is how to make changes in a recording macro. So for example, this data comprises 20 rows. What about if our new data is of 30 rows? Because this macro includes only 20 rows, and if our new data is 30 rows, the last 10 rows won't be included in the calculation. So therefore we need to make a change in our macro. For example, consider this scenario. We have this data. Our initial macro was only for 20 rows, but for this data that comprises 30 rows, let's see what happens when we run that macro. So click on macro and I run it. So this is what happens. The last 10 rows not included. So there is no calculation for percentage change. There is no conditional formatting. And similarly, these calculation, mean, median, they do not include the last 10 rows. So for example, if I double click this one, as you can see, the calculation for mean includes only 20 rows. The last 10 rows are not included. Similarly, if I click on median, again you can see for median calculation only 20 rows are included. The last 10 rows are not included. And the reason is the same because our original macro was only for 20 rows, not 30 rows. Similarly, if I click on maximum calculation also includes only 20 rows. Newly added 10 rows are not included. So this is the reason why we want to update our macro. To change this macro, I will click on developer and then macros, and then here is our macro. The name of our macro was recording. I will click on edit, but before I click on edit, remember our original macro is only for 20 rows. So I will click on edit, and this is the code. So in this code we will make a number of changes. First of all, there are some changes which are very obvious. Is this one? As you can see here, this is the range. Our original macro included this data range E2 to E21, and we can also see here. So we can change this one here. So instead of 21 we can make it 31 because we added 10 more data points. So I'm gonna replace 21 with 31. Same thing I do it here. This is E2 to E21. I'm gonna replace it with E31. We also need to make changes to these formulas, which are average, median, standard deviation, maximum, minimum, range, skewness, and kurtosis. The code for average calculation is this one, which means average RC. R stands for row, C stands for column, and then -4, and then R19, and C -4. So what does this mean? Let me explain it here. This is the code for average calculation whereby row is 19 and column is -4. This is our average calculation. It shows that there are 19 rows. So this is our active cell. There are 19 rows below that. So these are 19 rows. There are total 20 rows, and excluding top row, we say there are 19 rows below average, and there are 4 columns to the left of this active cell. So first column, second column, third column, and fourth column. So there are 19 rows below this cell. Now we are gonna make change accordingly here. Now over here we know we added 10 more rows. So instead of 19 I will make it 29. So just adding 10 more. So I'm gonna replace this 19 with 29. Similarly, the formula for median shows that in reference to the active cell, which is median, there are 18 rows below and 4 columns to the left. And because we have added 10 more rows, so I will replace 18 with 28, which means just adding 10 more. Similarly, standard deviation, this is 17. I will replace it with 27, which means adding 10 more rows. This is 16, so I will replace it with 26, which means adding 10 more. It says that there are 15 rows below the active cell. Active cell is the one where we have formula. There are 4 columns on the left side. I will replace 15 with 25 because we have added 10 more rows. So that's 25. So before I save it, very quickly, what type of changes we have made so far? We made 2 changes. First thing is that this one, whereby this range was extended. Initially this range was from E2 to E21. I made it 31 because we have added 10 more rows. The same thing here. Also this was updated from 21 to 31. Second thing, I updated these formulas and added 10 more. So initially this was 19, I made it 29. This was 18, I made it 28. This was 17, I made it 27. 16 was changed to 26. 15 was changed to 25. So I will click on save. Let's see what happens. This is our data that comprises 30 rows, and if I run our updated macro, let's see what happens. I click on run. Here you can see it has included all the cells, not just 20 cells but also the additional 10 cells that we included. So for example, our first step was to separate first name from last name. It did it successfully. Second step was to calculate percentage change. That is done successfully. Third step was to apply conditional formatting. That's also done successfully. And let's click on mean and let's see what is included. So when I click on mean, as you can see that all those 30 cells have been included. which means our new updated macro includes newly added cells. Similarly, if I click on median, median also includes all the cells, not just 20 cells but 30 cells. Standard deviation also includes all the cells. Maximum also includes all the cells. Minimum also includes all the cells.